Say Reverend Janet Reynolds. Welcome to Insight with Blue Feather. We have a very interesting show tonight with a very interesting guest. So I'm glad and I hope that all of you are ready for some good information. Um, if you want to get a hold of us to ask a question, you can call me at 813-814-1601 and I can answer your question. Hopefully I can answer your question. But anyway, Steve, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to let everybody know a little bit about you. Steve
Okay.
Harding, of course, is my guest tonight, as you can see, and he has had a life filled with adventure and enriching experiences. And I really believe that I can tell you that my life is an adventure also. Sometimes you just don't think things can happen the way they happen. When you agree to that?
Yeah. Trust me, I know that.
Upon graduation from Oregon State University, he joined the Navy as a pilot and acquired over 300 landings on aircraft carriers and a jet airplane. I find that so interesting, Steve. I really do. To be able to fly a airplane. That had to have been exciting, right?
Yeah, it was. For those of you who are old enough to remember the movie Top Gun, I actually went to that school.
Oh my God, I do remember that movie. I don't think any of us who saw that movie would forget that movie. He is so, Cruz is so good looking, right? So, and he was good in that movie. So moving into the business world, you, as in Steve, had a successful career for over 40 years, consulting and owning businesses. In the late 90s, he was earning high six-figure incomes, but however, due to the housing crash in 2007 and 2011, he found himself homeless and destitute. The one constant throughout this journey was Steve's relentless pursuit of knowledge about spirituality, meditation, and universal faith. He read many books and attended numerous seminars. And you know what, Steve, that's one thing that I have been doing for over 30 years also is studying spirituality, meditation, and just keeping my faith. That's the hard part, keeping faith. So you experience a homeless situation and you had nothing to fall back upon except for the guidance of spirituality and meditation. So in this moment of crisis, his knowledge crystallized in a way of thinking, a process by which he was able to move back into a life of abundance, peace, and joy. And he lives without fear. His purpose in life is to share this process with others and help them to own their own greatness. You know what is the most important sentence out of all of this on your bio?
No, what is it?
You live without fear.
Yeah.
I really believe that's beautiful because that's the one thing that we need to really do in life, and that's to live without fear. Not always easy. Now, you have written a book, and your book is My Journey from Homeless to Abundance. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So, now, how are you doing with your book? Are you doing good?
It's doing fine. Yeah, it's not a bestseller by any stretch, but I've got some really good people who are working with me and helping me with the social media, and we just redid my website. Actually, the lady just redid my website this afternoon. So it's coming along. It's
That's good to know. Do you want to tell us your website?
Yes, the website is ownyourown.greatness.com.
Okay.
On that website, talks a lot about what I believe and what I've learned. You can buy my book on the website, and I also have an online class that you can take on the website as well.
Okay, so before I really get into some heavy questions with you, what is your class, please?
It's by the same name. It's an online class that I've developed. It's 7 lessons, and you can purchase it on the website. I think it's $49.
Oh, okay. So that's very good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
All right, so now please tell me why this book and others like it is so important and what motivated you to write it.
Well, the first part, why is any book like this, I think, important? If when I look at the world today, I see more and more division, more and more me against them, and people who go into a church and shoot people. The reason that they do it is because they feel so separated and so lost and so disconnected. So I think books like this are important because we cannot give up that effort to continually try to bring people back into an attitude of love and care and thinking about one another. What motivated me to write the book, quite frankly, was the fact that I was able to look at my life after I had been through this process.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, man, if I can help one person make this same transformation from where I was before to where I am now, I got to share it.
And I think that's beautiful because right now, especially right now at present, I think there are many challenges out there. I really do. I think the past 2 years, almost 3, have been very challenging for all of us, wouldn't you say?
Yes, I would. And people are feeling more and more isolated, more and more confused. The uncertainty of what's going on is a huge factor in people becoming depressed and doing things that they wouldn't ordinarily do if they had a good feel for what was going to happen.
And you're very correct about that. And separation, the word separation, it really bothers me because so many are really separated, due to everything that is coming about. So now let me ask you this, please. When you say become totally responsible for your life and make conscious choices, what does that look like to you?
Yeah,
What
for
does
me,
that look like?
and that was the first step that I had to do. When I found myself living in an abandoned house with no money and no water and no electricity, I became very angry. That was my first response.
Mhm.
And I think what happened is that being angry and having that voice in your head going all the time is a really exhausting way to live.
Mhm.
And I think what happened is my mind just got tired. And so
Mhm.
it began to settle down and become more quiet.
Mhm.
And when that happens, divine guidance is going to be there. Now, I didn't have any idea what divine guidance was at that point. But what I did realize is that as long as I was blaming other people and not taking responsibility for where I was at and the decisions that I'd made that brought me there, really what I was doing is giving my power to other people by
Mhm.
blaming them. As long as I'm blaming them, there's nothing I can do to change it. So what I finally decided to do, and it was a tough pill, but I literally had to look at myself in a mirror and say, Steve, why did you choose homelessness? And take complete and total responsibility for where I was at that point. And when I did that, it was like I just felt lighter. I felt more powerful. The worst part about the situation I was in wasn't the discomfort. It was the hopelessness, the fear that I was going to be like that for the rest of my life. And once I took responsibility for it and accepted responsibility for it, then I was able to understand that the choices I'd made in the past were mine. And going forward, I could make different choices. And when I made different choices, my life would change.
Mhm.
And So being conscious is so key, understanding that our thoughts control our life. But most people, I think, don't pay a lot of attention to what they're thinking about. They're sort of on a hamster wheel, sort of reaction mode, kind of like they're sitting in a movie, watching their life and reacting to what's going on to it. So to me, the first step was to take responsibility and then become conscious of my thoughts and begin to make choices. The best way I've ever heard it put was by Jack Canfield. I think most of us know, author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. But he said you should live according to a formula. And that formula is E plus R equals O. And what those mean is that our life is really a series of events. That's really all it is. They're not good or bad, right or wrong. It's just a series of events. So when an event occurs, we can do a couple of things. Number one, we can have a reaction, which is a knee-jerk kind of, I call it a Pepsi syndrome. You push a button and a Pepsi's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
The other is we can have a response, which is a more thought out process in way to deal with the event. And equals O means outcome. So the event plus your reaction or response to the event is going to result in an outcome. So what I learned from that is that to look at my life as a series of events, what I had to do is I had to go, when I recognized the event and I was conscious about what it was, then the next thing to do is I go to the outcome. I say, how do I want this event to turn out? Once I decide the outcome, then I can go back and choose the response that will result in that outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And the outcomes are actually what our life looks like. And either a response is conscious or it's a reaction that's automatic. And both of them are going to result in an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
But a response with the outcome in mind is going to result in a lot better life.
Right. It's not always good to react to situations that come about. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. For a long time, I couldn't figure out why my body was completely and totally connected to somebody else's car horn. When somebody blew their horn at me, I mean, I got tense and I got angry and made gestures, and it was not good. The outcome was always negative.
Mm-hmm.
So what I came to understand is that the blowing of the horn was just an event. My reaction to it was what was creating the negative outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So what I realized is what I had to do is I had to think, what kind of an outcome do I want? I want peace and joy, no anger. So when somebody blew their horn at me, instead of reacting, I had a response of just looking in my mirror, moving over, letting them pass, no anger, and boom. Now I don't even hardly hear it when people blow their horn at me.
Well, that's a good thing because I really believe in today's world, the driving is horrible.
It's scary out there.
It's very scary. I sometimes you really need to pay full attention to driving. You really do. And when you get older, it's harder.
But anyway, to me, that's what making conscious choices, taking responsibility and making conscious choices means. And it's been a huge part of the transformation in my life.
Right. It means not to react. It means, that's what you're saying? Is that correct?
Right.
React, but
recognize it as an event and then decide how you want that event, how you want your life to look after that event. Then
right.
you've got a choice to make that response.
Yes.
And then your life turns out that way.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, reacting is not always good, especially if you have a temper. So that part's bad. But then I think life teaches us to control our temper, to be more patient, or at least I feel that I've come a long way with that. I really have. And being patient and not getting upset over it is not always an easy thing to do, you know?
No,
So
you have to
now,
be aware.
yes. So now in your book, you describe how thoughts literally create our world, which I'm very aware of that. Can you share with us a little about that?
Yeah, what I have come to understand is that, and the way I describe it in the book and in the class, it's an understanding of the unity principle. And the unity principle goes back to 500 BC. They wrote about it in the Dead Sea Scrolls. But what it means is that we are literally all connected. There's really just one out there of which we are a part. And in the late 1800s, Albert Einstein and some people developed what's called quantum physics.
Yes, I've
And
heard of.
in short, what quantum physics says is there's nothing solid in the universe. Everything is energy.
Mhm.
And our thoughts that we have affect that energy because it's vibrational. For example, the thought of love is a very high vibration. The thought of fear is a low contracting vibration.
Mhm.
But what the universe does is it responds to the vibrations that our thoughts put out and then creates.
Mhm.
So, literally, with our thoughts, we are communicating with the universe. The universe is responding to those vibrations or those thoughts and literally creating our life. So our thoughts really, they did an experiment that said that of the outcome of an experiment was affected by the person who was doing the experiment,
Mhm.
because it's all connected through energy. And so what I thought out is, in this in this experiment we call our life, we are literally have the ability to create it however we want through the fact that our thoughts are affecting the universe and the universe is responding to them.
Mhm.
So that's our thoughts become critical to how our life looks.
And I agree 100% with you on that. I really do because I really do everything in my power to stay in the moment
Hmm.
and not to have any expectations. And I learned that a long time ago with the Course of Miracles. Did
Hmm.
you've heard of that, right?
I've been through the course or been through courses with it. Yes.
Yes.
In fact, I read an affirmation in a book about the Course of Miracles every morning.
Oh, that's beautiful to know
Daily.
because I took that course for 2 years and that taught me a lot about ego.
Hmm.
So we could also say that ego is or are our thoughts, or they help to make our thoughts negative and or positive. Could we say that
Hmm.
about
Yeah, the
ego?
ego, as it is stated in the Course of Miracles, the ego is basically just trying to stay alive all the time. And
Right.
so it creates thoughts and actions, attacks, I think it's called in the Course in Miracles.
Yes.
And all attacks are a cry for help.
I agree with you on that. So, and then I would highly suggest if anyone could take that course, as in the Course of Miracles, I would highly suggest that. Wouldn't you do that too?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I think it's really a beautiful course. But now, explain what you mean when you say we need to be consciously responsible for our thoughts, and how can we do this?
Yeah. Being consciously responsible for your thoughts uh, is, as you just stated a few minutes ago, is to be aware. I think most of us get up in the morning, we jump on the hamster wheel, we go through our life that day reacting to what's going on around us. And then at the end of the day, we go, oh man, what happened? So, what we want to do is to be able to be conscious of our thoughts, be aware of what they are, And what I have developed as a technique to do that is I create what I call triggers.
Mhm.
And triggers are, for example, when I brush my teeth twice a day, whenever I find myself brushing my teeth, I stop my thoughts and I get conscious to them. I say, what are you thinking now? What do you want to think about now? How do you want your thoughts to be? Another one is when I walk out of my condominium in the morning, when I open the door, I stop and I go, what am I thinking? What do I want my thoughts to be? What do I want my thoughts? What kind of a day do I want my thoughts to create? And what it is, it's kind of like it's just an exercise that's, not subconscious thinking is a habit. We just do it automatically.
Mhm.
What we don't ever have to do anything. What we can do is we can create little exercises to help us build that conscious thinking muscle. And that's what these triggers do for me. Yeah, when I turn my car on in the morning, that's another trigger. I stop. How do I want this trip to turn out? What are my thoughts about it?
Mhm.
And then I can focus on my thoughts and make them high vibrational, positive thoughts, which then results in a high vibrational, quality, loving, caring life. It all
That's
starts right here.
good. That's good. Yes, it's all in our head, right?
Hmm.
It's all in our thoughts and how we think it, and that's important to know. So now, how do our emotions fit into the fact that our thoughts create our life?
Yeah. It's when we're if we think of the fact that we are operating in an energetic universe
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing solid out there, and our thoughts attract to us from that energy the same vibration that our thoughts are going. So our thoughts are like the engine that drives our life, but our emotions are the horsepower behind the thoughts. So what we want to do is an analogy I use is when we go on vacation. Now, when we go on vacation, we plan it. We decide where we're going to go, who we're going to take with us, how we're going to get there. We take a map, we make reservations. We're doing all of this planning for a vacation. What I want to suggest is that we do that same kind of planning for when we're not on vacation, for our
Mm-hmm.
everyday life. How do we want it to turn out? What do we want it to look like? What kind of things do we want to accomplish? What do we want to do? And as you do that, you'll automatically visualize what you want these things to look like. And
Mm-hmm.
as you begin to visualize them and literally feel them, you will feel the emotion that goes along with those visualizations.
Mm-hmm.
The strength and the power of that visualization, of that emotion, really amps up how powerfully and quickly the universe responds to your thoughts. I'll give you an example that happened exactly to me, and that is when I was homeless, I was constantly building my gratitude muscle. Started out by just two things: being glad I was in a house, I wasn't under a bridge, and I was healthy. And every morning I would be grateful for those two things.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that muscle begins to grow, and eventually you can learn to be grateful for things that you don't have in your life yet. For example, income. My income was zero. And I began to feel grateful and what that takes is faith. It takes faith the size of a mustard seed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, quantum physics is the only uh, scientific thing on the planet that will explain the faith the size of a mustard seed. because you begin to develop that faith, and you feel the emotion and the gratitude of that faith, and the universe then responds. So I was in the house, and I got a phone call one day after I was doing these gratitude exercises. And it was a phone call from a guy that I hadn't seen or heard from in over 2 years. He lived in Phoenix. He just called out of the blue. And he asked me how things were going. And I said, well, going real good. And so he said, hey, did you ever look into that opportunity that we talked about when you were here? And what it was Social Security. And I was 64 at the time and hadn't thought anything about it. But here comes this call out of the blue. And so I plugged the information, went to socialsecurity.gov, plugged in the information, and my income went from zero to enough money to pay my bills, rent a condominium, and buy food.
Oh, and you didn't realize you had Social Security coming?
Never entered my head. Never.
Really? Oh, isn't that something?
Yeah. But this call out of the blue from a guy that I hadn't heard from for 2 years. And what generated that call, Janet, is my gratitude and my intention to make my life better and feel good because I knew it could happen.
Right. And that's important. You know, every morning, the one thing, I have a townhouse, and I love my townhouse, and I have a pond in the back. And in the morning, I sit out there and drink my coffee, unless it's 44 degrees, and then I do not sit out there and drink my coffee. and I watch the water, and I thank him. I thank him for everything I have, for everything that I don't have, and for everything that I'm about to receive. And I do that every day because we have a lot to be so grateful for, even if our day isn't the best. Do you know, we still have a lot to be thankful for. And I know that they know I'm grateful. So, you know, sometimes I salute him with my cup of coffee so that he knows he's on my mind. So
yeah, a lot of times I talk to people and you know, they're having a bad day, or their life seems pretty bad. And I say, listen, this is what I want you to do. Just take a piece of paper and a pencil, sit down quietly, and write down everything in your life that you're grateful for. And what it'll do, it will instantly shift your vibration. You will instantly begin to feel better.
Yes.
And the things that are going on in your life will begin to move towards the back. What you pay attention to in your life grows, and what you take your attention off of disappears.
Yeah. So, no, that's really good to know. So now you do talk at length about gratitude and how we communicate with the universe. How does that work?
Well, to complete that example, before I got this phone call, I stumbled across, this was another thing that was a miracle, really. I found out that I was owed a retirement fund from the company I'd worked for. So I got the retirement fund, and what I started doing was going to a Unity church here in St. Petersburg. And I had to drive by a condominium that I had lived in previously on the water. So one day I'm coming back from church, and I turned into that condominium complex to find out if there were any condominiums for rent. Now, here was the situation, right? My income was about $400 a month from this retirement fund. And I'm pulling in to look at condos for rent. And so many of the things that I did, Janet, I at the time that I was doing them, I couldn't understand why I was doing them. They didn't make any sense. But that is our old friend, divine guidance. It's always there. It's like the sun shining down on us. So I pulled into this condo, and I said, went in to talk to the lady. I said, are there any condos for rent? So she's flipping through these on her computer, and I saw one that I recognized, and I said, "Is that condo for rent?" It was one that I had lived in when I was rented from these people in this complex. And she said, yes, it was for rent. And so I said, call the owners and ask them if they would be willing to rent this to me for without a security deposit. So we got them on the phone. I'd rented from them for 3 years, took care of the place, paid my rent, so they didn't have a problem with it. So I signed a contract. I signed a contract to rent that condominium in about 45 days. Would have been June the 1st, 2000.
Mm-hmm. That
Then
was beautiful.
Huh?
That was beautiful.
Yeah. Then what I would do, coming home from church, I would pull into that condominium complex and I would walk around to the front of the condo that I was going to rent, and there was a gazebo there.
Mm-hmm.
And I would sit there in that gazebo and just feel absolute total gratitude for living in that condo,
Mm-hmm.
for living, cooking in the kitchen, for sleeping in the bed, for sitting on the deck. And I did that for about three weekends in a row. And that's when I got this phone call from this guy that said, look into Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to even talk about it now without being emotional, because what I realized is that my gratitude that I had, starting with my health and having a roof over my head, had grown to the point to where I was now going to move into that 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo,
Mm-hmm.
all generated by the revenue, or generated by the gratitude that I had and the faith that I had that it would come.
Mm-hmm.
So gratitude it's the most, love and gratitude are the highest frequencies in the universe.
I agree with you, and keeping the faith.
Mm-hmm. It's all about faith.
Yes, and trusting. And to this day, it's always in my belief system. I feel my faith has gotten me through.
Mm-hmm.
And gratitude. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very grateful for everything. And so you moved into the condo, right?
Moved into the condo.
Okay, so now think about that, because I feel that's very interesting. So it's like a new beginning, yes. It's somewhere where you've been before.
Mm-hmm. But I was there with a completely different mental approach to life.
Right. So it's like completion. Could you say completion?
Mm-hmm.
Complete of something and then the starting of something new?
Right. Moving into a new phase.
Yes.
I mean, that's where the life that I live now began, and the life that I had been living for the 60 years before that went away.
Yeah. So
And it's all a process. It keeps going on and on and on.
yes, you just have to keep the faith, keep moving. So now your last step, do nothing, let the universe handle the details. What does that mean?
That means that as human beings, when we want to accomplish something, we've been taught since we were little kids you got to get her done. Depend only on yourself. If you want something, you got to work hard. You got to, don't trust anybody else. You got to do it yourself. And that's how we're taught from the time we're like 3.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with that is that in order to solve or create solutions or create situations as a human being, we only have one tool. And that tool is our past. What kind of problems have we run into like this before? What did we do to solve them? So our ability to solve problems and create situations is very limited. The universe, on the other hand, is an infinite field of all possibilities. And it can create opportunities and situations that we can then take advantage of. to solve a problem. An example I use is if I decide that I want a new Mercedes, and I put the intention out there and I have the gratitude that I am now driving a brand new Mercedes. The chances are very small that I'm going to walk into my garage the next day and there's going to be a new Mercedes sitting there. But by putting that intention out with gratitude, what happens is the universe begins to align things so that opportunities present themselves that I can take advantage of that will then result in a new Mercedes.
Right.
I'll tell you the story of how I came up with it. It was funny. I was sitting on my deck looking out over the water and very peaceful. And I was watching, we have a bird here called the cormorant that dives underneath the water and then pops back up and dives under to catch fish. And I was watching that cormorant and I began to think, does that cormorant still exist when I can't see it? And I decided, yeah, it still exists. I just don't have the physical capability to see it. And then I looked out over the water and I go, there's an infinite number of things going on under that water that I can't see because I don't have the physical ability to do it. And that's when it hit me. That's exactly how the universe works. The universe is constantly moving things around, aligning things, making things happen, presenting opportunities, situations that we can take advantage of to get what we want. But we can't see that because we don't have the physical capability. But again, it's understanding and believing that that's how the universe works. And the universe is going to present those opportunities to you if you put the intention out there with the gratitude.
Right. Right. And I think that is really, that's very much the truth. Now, let me ask you about this. What is your feelings about a vision board? Because a lot of times I put stuff on a vision board and then that way I see what I want and then I tell universe, this is what I want. And then that way I have it on the vision board. So have you thought of that too? Or is that a good thought or what?
I think vision boards are really cool. The key to having a vision board, there's one potential downside, and again, it's being conscious of your thoughts. But a lot of people will build a vision board, and then they'll look at what's on the vision board, and what they will think about is the fact that they haven't got it yet.
Oh.
And so you got to be very aware of it. The other thing I think that goes with a vision board is you look at the vision board and people tend to say, well, this is what I want. And what the universe hears is this is what I want. So you will continue to want it. The key to step through that is to look at that vision board and see and feel the emotions of the things that are on that vision board as if you had already had them.
Right.
Act as if it was already in your life and have those feelings. Then the vision board becomes a tool for the universe to bring you what you want.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I learned it many years ago and we called it a treasure map when I learned it. And then it became the vision board. I really believe in the vision board. And every now and then I keep looking at it. Now I've had one, like I said, 30 years, and I've changed it maybe 4 times. But every time I put something on that vision board and I want that, I end up getting what I want, because I'm putting that out there. I'm telling universe, that's what I want. And then, but you have to work towards that too. So I just think it's all, you just really need to believe, right?
Yep. Feel the emotion.
Yes. Feel the emotion. And that's the great part. We're getting ready to close down. Steve,
Okay.
I just want to tell you that I appreciate very much you being here tonight. So once more, please tell everybody how, if they have any questions or if they would like to talk to you, please once more give them, what was it, your webpage, right? Or your email, which was it?
My web page is ownyourown.greatness.com.
Right.
And on the web page there is a contact page. And if anybody has any interest in talking about this further or wanting to learn more about it, or just have a conversation with me, please fill out that contact information via email. That's what it is, or you're sending me an email and I will respond.
Okay. I think that's great. I really do. And please tell them the title of your book again.
The title of the book is My Journey from Homeless to Abundance. It's on Amazon, but the easiest way to do it is just go to the website and punch the button. I think it's $8.50.
Okay. And that's more than fair. So,
For what I've got out of it, yes, Janet, it is way more than fair.
I'm sure. So, are you thinking another book, maybe?
A couple of people have asked me that. I'm at this point, there's nothing on the horizon that I'm thinking about that I want to, put another book. I'm always open to the concept and the idea, but not at this point, no.
No. Okay. Well, I'll just sort of make that suggestion to you.
Okay.
Okay. I think I really feel another book would be good. I really do. But then that's up to you. You know what I mean? So thank you so very much for being here. And once more, I am Reverend Janet Reynolds. Blue Feather is my guide. Thank you for being here with me on Insight with Blue Feather. And you can reach me at my webpage is www.bluefeather.net. And my email is janet@bluefeather.net. So if there's anything I can do, you can also call me at 813-814-1601, and I will answer any questions. And Kathy was just here. Did you see her? Did you see her? Kathy Perry was just here.
There she is. Hi, Kathy.
Yes. Tuesday, and then is that your friend?
Yeah, Eulalia. Yeah, she's great. She's awesome.
Yes.
She's making great progress. Awesome.
There you go. And Kathy's meetup is Tuesday. That would be nice if you could come.
Okay.
So we're over at Unity.
All right. Yeah. It depends on my work schedule. Like I said, the people call me when they want me to work. So, but I think it's on the 15th. I just got an email from her, as a matter of fact.
No, it's the 14th. Isn't Tuesday 14th. Valentine's Day?
I thought Monday was Valentine's Day.
Well, you could be very correct, because sometimes I live in out of space. I thought it was Tuesday. Well, you know what it is? She's doing Valentine's stuff. So, 15th is Tuesday, so you're very correct. Monday is Valentine's Day. That's my sister's birthday. So,
cool.
Yes, I know. So yes, Unity Networking is Tuesday the 15th, not the 14th. So there you go. But thank you very much. I really enjoyed. You take good care of yourself, and I hope to see you again.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. No worries.